Honorable Justice M.N. Venkatacharya, former Chief Justice of India, Shri Rajiv Shukla, Honorable Minister of Planning and Parliamentary Affairs, His Excellency Anne Felton, British Deputy High Commissioner, Bengaluru, Dr. Shri Prakash, Vice Chancellor of Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Science, Dr. Anup Amarnath, Padam Shri K. Subbarao, Dr. V.P. Rao, Dr. Bajaj, other distinguished doctors, delegates and friends. It's very heartening that England and Britain are together to find a solution for aging process. I'll take you briefly to the friendship of Indo-British friendship. Our entire parliamentary system, which we have borrowed from Westminster. Our founding fathers, Gandhi, Nehru, Patel, even B.R. Ambedkar, they had their education in England, and after India became free, we extensively borrowed from the British unwritten constitution and their precedents. Our judiciary is 100% on the common law. Our judges also speak the language of justice. Winston Churchill himself said English judges speak the language of justice, but I have argued with the British judges that Indian judges also follow the same tradition, and one of such judges sitting before you, Justice M.N. Venkatacharya. So, I just want to remind you the legacy of these two nations. Our constitution heavily borrowed in the House of Commons precedents, and we are still following all the parliamentary privileges and all this. But we are not following certain good things of the British life. British people, British doctors, they render a lot of service to the senior citizens. I always went to England for 2 months during my summer vacations for a long time, because I just wanted to study the society as a whole, which ruled the whole globe. They have certain principles on which they work. The Royal Health Services, I deeply studied the working of Royal Health Services in England. I found mostly Indian doctors are also employed there from various parts of India. Harley Street is very expensive, where eminent doctors stay there. They meet you only by appointment, but when they give you time, they study your case thoroughly and give good advice. But they found a lot of difficulty in financing their health services in England. But despite that resource crunch, the British government found money to take care of their senior citizens. I visited a number of senior citizens' homes in England, where they will give full facilities to their elder people of food and a couple of other facilities to which they were used to in their life. So they have, despite the resource crunch, they have maintained the health services for the senior citizen. Their social security system for everybody in their society is still being maintained, providing sustenance allowance and medical health, particularly medical health. Whoever is a British citizen, it is entitled. Then briefly, when the problem was aggravated, they introduced the link of insurance with medical treatment. And that could help quite a lot of people to get quality treatment in the health care. So always there has been a concern of the government for their people, particularly senior citizens. I had sat one day with 5-10 senior people in a old age home which was run by an Indian himself and very close friend of mine. They gave very good food, They give very good other drinks, etc. to their senior citizen, which is quite surprising. They care so much. At several places they have opened this, like your good hostels. So this is the way they care. We had the same society in India. There was no change. In our young age, when I was a young man, my grandfather was more than 75 or 80. It was my duty as a young boy to take care of my grandfather. The first duty after school was to go to the grandfather, serve him food and take him out, and then in the evening I will just touch his feet and do the service. Without this, I was not allowed to do anything, because this was the discipline of the family for the grandpa and my grandmother. So our family used to respect the elders. And in India, respect for elders is well recognized in our social life. And even today, I don't care for my office. If I meet my elder, I always go out breaking my protocol to receive him and show respect to him. As a law minister also, I always went to those people, senior citizens who used to walk. They were not all ministers. They were just common people. Some of them were retired people of my father's age. And once I met them, I felt so happy that I could spend some time walking with them. And they now miss me quite a lot, and I also miss them. Because now I am in the four walls of the Raj Bhavan, just like a dignified prison. So that is the difference. But I enjoy this. I have opened another chapter. I invite senior citizens to Raj Bhavan. Yesterday I had many senior citizens from various parts of Karnataka, and we sat together on some coffee, tea and some other, and discussed many things. So they were very happy to come to Raj Bhavan, and they talked to me. I said, come over for some time for tea, coffee and discussion. So we keep busy. Otherwise your brain becomes junk. If you don't discuss anything, go and sit down your bed. It's simple. Anybody who is born has to die. There is no such as continuity of life. Even the best of the doctors feel helpless, and they do write that I cure, I treat, he cures. The God has ultimately that power. And in Gita also, Jatasya mritu dhruvam. One who is born has to die. But you should die a dignified death. Why should you die like an animal or something like that? The family has the first commitment to look after the parents. If your son does not look after his parents, then what is the use of having a son? In Vedas it is said, the only son's duty is to look after the parents. The wife's duty is to look after the husband. Madhubhashini, sweet words. If the wife does not speak the sweet words, then it's a problem for a man. So she attracts you to the life, and she has to speak and keep the man going. So once the parents have done their duty, made a man out of you, then where should they go? It is your duty to look after them. That is why we pray for our children. And if children do not serve you, then what is the use of having children? This is a commitment which a God-gifted commitment, and these are our values. If you have no values in your society, the society is useless. What is the use of British society? It's a powerful society. American society is a powerful society because they stay with their values. The governments also. I have great admiration for these democratic countries, because whatever they preach, they practice. There is no hypocrisy. So therefore, we can learn from each other. And I'm very happy that since we have common link of English language, we can definitely, Indo-British programs will definitely help us. I have participated in many programs. The Royal College of Physicians were here, Royal College of Surgeons were here. I personally went to attend, and once in this Dr. Manjunath's hospital, Jayadeva, they have done so much service to the poor people together and repaired their walls and angiography and whatever is needed for poor people only, not rich people. They have done service. We are trying to, in Karnataka, create this awareness. And I particularly take chance. When Dr. Bajaj contacted me from Hyderabad, I did not agree that because I am an old man, I'll be benefit. I said, let us see what is happening in our country. So much can be done because we have large population of doctors in India, and we can motivate a lot of doctors to serve the poorer section of the society. The basic difficulty, Mr. Minister, is there is no proper organization of healthcare in India. Even those hospitals which once upon a time I was the visitor of Delhi hospital in my young age, Irvine Hospital, Safdarjung Hospital, Willingdon Hospital, they were made by British days. What a quality of treatment was there. And the Delhi doctors, very famous doctors, Dr. Sen, Dr. Vyas, Dr. Mahajan, Dr. Sobti, they were very talented doctor and very prominent doctor of the day. They used to render 2 hours free service for public without charging anything. They were called as honorary physician, honorary surgeons. And they got great fame in the country. Dr. Sen was the first one to make a nursing home where President of India, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, was treated. And all these doctors were motivated by service because medical profession, like our legal profession, is a noble profession. Once you take the element of nobility out of you, it happens to be a business. I am very sad these days when I find the business-like approach in professions, a legal profession as well as the medical profession. These are service-oriented professions. And your own reputation is a great reward, great satisfaction. If you as a judge, you earn a great reputation, as Justice Venkatachalya, he is a very simple judge, but he earned a great reputation. Nobody needs to introduce him anywhere in the judicial crowd. He is well known. I wanted to send him abroad. He said, no, I am not interested in traveling abroad. I want to serve every day in the court. And that is how he earned a great reputation. But he will go down as the greatest history, the judge in the history of India. So doctors also. In India, doctors, there was just Dr. Vyas was a great physician, and he readily agreed to see a patient at any time of the day and without even paying the fees. This time is very important because medical health, what is happening in the rural areas, there is no health care. Why people are aging? Because nobody goes in the rural sector, there is no hospital, they are all at distant places. This is one of the hospitals in Delhi, AIIMS, was a dignified place to go. But now I went once with a problem of a very poor person in the OPD. You could not enter in the crowd, so much of crowd was there. And people were crying outside. Once you see this state of affair of our hospitals, then I don't think it is a job which is quite appreciated. Our health care managed by government is in total lack of care. Firstly, there are not adequate hospitals, large number of population. So who suffers? It's only the rural people are suffering. That is why they become old. Otherwise they are much more disciplined than all of us. They rise early morning, they go to the field to till their land and all this, and they are good in habits, but facilities are not given. So they become older, and yet I personally feel that is the backbone of our country. India is a poor country. We are mistaken that this corporate world, which is coming in tremendous controversy now, they will lift the country. The poor man of this country, poor people of this country are building the country. And government should do much more for their education. I suggested last month, I called on the Prime Minister. I said, sir, I have no right as a governor to advise you. I am no longer your minister. But I feel for my country. And I feel because I belong to the rural sector of the population, that what have you done in the education sector for the rural masses? There are no schools. And these illiterate children are become criminals. Why you have so much problem in Delhi, so much problem in Bengaluru here? Because unemployed youths are on the street. And after evening they drink and do whatever they like. You must give education, because education trains your mind to do and what not to do. And without education, you are not a person. And healthcare also, there is no healthcare in the villages. But in any case, their habits are good, better than us. They don't waste money on so useless things because there is no money in them. So our problem is to cater to senior citizens. It's very simple. Society must come forward. When I cannot earn, or a senior citizen cannot earn, at least the family, in whatever resources they have got, they should look after him. I, as a Minister of Corporate Affairs for 5 years, I was a company law minister. I got 50 complaints when Narasimha Rao was Prime Minister. He sent them all to me, but because they were big people in the corporate sector, very big people. What happened? The father, out of law, gave all the shares of the company to his son and his daughter-in-law. And once they became chairman, managing director, then they ejected the father and the mother from their main building, their bungalow, and say, go to the outhouse. And they were sent in the outhouse. And parents readily agree for the sake of the pleasure of their children, because this is a human nature. So they said, okay, we will stay in the outhouse. So they started outhouse. Then suddenly, this so happened, they were told to hire a house outside. And that they said, we will pay, the company will pay the rent. After some time, rent was stopped. So they knew the Prime Minister from Hyderabad. And they said that, do something for us because we have lost everything. He said, I'll send you to my minister. So they came to me. I said, why did you part with your money? You should not have given till you are alive. So I advise senior citizens to keep their purse full till the last day. If you don't, if you part your money before the event, then they will not care for you. This is a selfish world. And this is the order of the day. So parents, husband and wife should get attached to each other. In old age much more. And look after each other. I am a practical example. My wife is the doctor, my wife is my cook, and my wife is doing everything for me. And I said, I am writing my last check in your favor, so that you should also live a dignified life. This is a practical way of. Why put your future on hypothetical basis? So this is one mantra which I have learned. Love your children as much as give them best education, and then say, wait, I have done it. I am educating my grandchildren in England. I am investing on them. And recently they have come, grown. I like. But I tell my son, you are a senior advocate, you must argue your case and give something back to the family. So this is the indulgence of parents which creates problems. Our society, doctors particularly, must keep 2 hours for serving the poorer people, aged people. Initiative has been taken by Dr. Bajaj and his colleagues and this Indo-British forum. We have also taken initiative in our legal field, exchange of program between judges, lawyers. It has benefited both countries. So this is a good initiative. But I am telling you, I know every aspect of healthcare in Karnataka, more than doctors. It needs quite a good effort. I know Dr. Devi Sethi. He is one of the most prominent cardiac surgeon here. He is such a philanthropic doctor that he has set apart a part of his practice for the poorer section of the society, and yet he is becoming more and more prominent. Similarly, Dr. Manjunath of Jayadeva, readily he agrees to do this kind of service. But we need to set up a center for old people, aged people, where they can go and talk to each other and have a sip of coffee, tea, and spend 1 or 2 hours. You can't talk to yourself when you are alone. If your partner is no more, then you walk with the walls. The family must respond. This is a very acute problem, and senior citizens have to be cared by the society and also the government. You may devise any method, insurance scheme or anything. Actually, I have been requesting the government of India to launch massive insurance-linked schemes for all kinds of people, so that people can pick up their bills of treatment and they have not to pay anything. And insurance is a very easy thing. Government can pay the installment, or in his own life or own service he can pay some installments. So these are methods. I think the talented people on this aspect of life, doctors, will deliberate on this and find out ways and means how the British traditions can be engrafted in our service-oriented profession in Hindi. British people are one of the most outstanding people only for one thing. They follow certain principles. And once they take a principled decision, they find the solution. If you have taken this responsibility, then you should find the solution, and that is where India should start working. By slogans or by false claims, no country can be built. We seriously lack discipline. We seriously lack concern for our nation. That is why this time is a time of caution and time of introspection and efforts. I thank you for taking this initiative, and I thank you once again. I'll say that Rajbhavan is open to all public for good work, and I invite you for any other work, any other effort. Recently, my Vice Chancellor is here, Dr. Shri Prakash. We have taken an initiative on two set of problems. One is the preventive medicine. We met the WHO people in Karnataka, and particularly I took the initiative also. And they have agreed to help us in preventive medicine because of this virus, dengue and all this being spread here. So that we think very soon we will establish an institution, powerful institution here. And the second is one more area which is of concern for, there is no proper care in India, even in New Delhi, for mental health care. There is an epidemic in the stress management, There is no system by which you can treat your persons, male and female, going into stress and become very seriously sick. And Mental Health Care Act is very badly drafted and nobody is bothering. So I requested young doctors who came from England that to start an institution for stress management, and they have done a good work, and our university has already given them permission to start all these things. So initiatives have to come from the society. This is a good initiative, whether you are young or you are old, to serve the society all your lifetime. You have an obligation to the society, and you have to serve. Inside, God gives strength. I am the most sick person amongst all of you. You don't know perhaps. When I was a law minister, I had a stroke And in fact, in my brain, on the floor of the parliament, while I was addressing the Rajya Sabha on the Office of Profit Bill, and my president, Dr. Kalam, was pressing too hard, and Prime Minister was very, very much upset, I said, I will assert as a minister my powers. So I reiterated that Parliament can exempt this Office of Profit and Parliament must pass it. So during that the debate was very hot and people were pressing both sides. But when I was in the middle of my speech to reply to the debate, I developed a severe headache in my brain. And I almost wanted to faint. But I said, Bhardwaj, if you collapse, then it is the end of the day. I stood on my legs and I cut short my speech and I restored courage, my inner strength. Because I believe God resides in human heart. If you have the strength, inner strength, no physical infirmity can stop you working. Today also my legs are swollen. I am on my legs. They are swollen. There is no proper circulation because of the infarct. But I don't miss my duty wherever I am invited. So long as... And I am on my pulse rate is controlled, my heart rate is controlled, and my brain is also controlled by drugs. But my inner strength comes when I remember my father, my mother, and my guru. This is my inner strength with which I fight my problems. And I always believe in Rabindranath Tagore, Ekla Chalo. If nobody supports you, walk alone. And that is where I said doctors should do that. Dr. Kotnis, one of the most prominent doctors, when there was an epidemic in China, he travelled alone to China and brought a lot of relief. Dr. Ansari, the grandfather of our vice president today, he went to Turkey in the most difficult time of Khilafat movement. And Nightingale, the sister, she travelled to help the prisoner, British prisoners, and she brought relief. So that spirit has to be developed in the society. Mother Teresa. So thank you very much. Jai Hind.
We'd like to thank His Excellency Dr. Hansraj Bharadwaj ji